Hello everyone, my name is Jana Stupowski and I'm your data visualization instructor. In today's video, we're going to talk about Tableau's basic filtering functionalities. We're going to start off with our coffee shop data set. We've got our data connected. And let's say that we want to take a look at what items sell the most for us. So we're going to look at net sales. We're going to put them in rows, and we're going to look at item descriptions. Okay, this is not the best view to compare different items, so we can flip the chart by swapping rows and columns, and we can sort. If you hover over the chart in the view, there's a little sort icon that helps you sort the items in the chart, and you can sort by in descending or ascending order, and you just keep clicking the item until you get the desired view. You can accomplish the same by going to the item description pill and click sort. You can clear sort as well, and you can come back to it and leave it ascending or descending. Okay, so remember, our data for the coffee shop are from 2 consecutive months in a year, April and May of 2019. So here we're looking at sum of net sales for each individual item that's on the menu found in this coffee shop. This is way long of a chart, and let's say that we would like to only take a look at desserts. So we have a category that, if you look at the data source, the column, the variable category categorizes our items that we sell into different categories, such as frozen drinks or desserts, breakfast items, lunch. And so going back to our view, let's say I only want to explore desserts. So what I'll do is I'll pull this category pill into this shelf called filters, and suddenly a window pops up, and I'm left with some choices here. This window is called filter, and I have multiple tabs here. Today we're only going to focus on some basic functionalities of filter, so we're going to stick with general, and I can select from the list. I can either select all or none, or I can just select desserts, which is what I want. So I'm going to select desserts, hit OK, and suddenly my view is filtered to reflect desserts only. I can very quickly see, and I'm going to make this wider so I can see the name of the entire item, that my most selling dessert item is cookie. If I hover over, my net sales is $1,928 over the course of the 2 months that are in the data set. My next most selling item is my tiramisu, then goodie bar, and then the list goes on. But now my view is filtered only to show desserts. What we could do with the filter is we can, by clicking on the menu, we can either edit the filter and change it from, let's say, desserts to breakfast items. And now we see what our top breakfast items are. Muffin, breakfast bagel, breakfast croissant, scone. But what I could also do is I can clear filter, and I'll go back to the full list that we had at the beginning, and my filter disappears. My pill, category pill, disappears from the filter shelf, but I can bring it back. Let's say I'll pick breakfast again. Now my view is reduced to breakfast items only, but I can show filter. And what this does, it brings the filter from behind the scenes into the view for the chart user or for the visualization user to make that selection. So now we can change, let's say I want to look at teas only. now I have my top teas, my top sellers in tea category. As you can see, we can mix by being able to choose multiple categories. We can make a selection here of those categories that we would like to view if it makes sense for us. Perhaps mixing bagged tea and teas and desserts doesn't make much sense, but if we click on the little arrow here, we're left with some formatting and customizing options for our filters. So right now, my filter shows multiple value list, and I've got a checkbox. I can also show multiple values drop down, and that way just the view of my filter changes, and I can make it a little drop down menu, and I can still leave the user with being able to choose all or just some options. Or I can just go back and allow the user to only select a single value. Okay, so now the view will only allow for one category to be selected. This is called a dimension filter because we're basically utilizing one of the dimensions as a filter. In addition to dimension filters, that we can also use measure filters. Let's demonstrate that. Right now I'm showing breakfast items and their net sales. But let's say I want to just focus on sales for 1 month. And so I'm going to pull into the filters the date field, and I can pick what I want here. I can choose either range of dates. So I select that and hit next. But that's not what I want to do. I want to just pick months. I can select years, quarters, months, or days from our data set. The options are almost endless, but I want to focus on months. And since I have only 2 months in my coffee shop data set, I think I'm going to focus on the month of April. So I'll check April. I will now leave it here, although I can show filter. So now I'm looking at only breakfast sales in the month of April. And let's say that instead of looking at net sales, I want to look at the quantity of items that were sold. So I'm going to replace the net sales in columns with quantity. So I can drag quantity and just put it on top of sales, and it will replace the pill in columns. So now instead of some net sales, we're looking at quantity of the items that were sold. Clearly this is not sorted out, so I want to sort my view, and I can see that our scale has changed. We're now looking at number of items sold in the month of April. Okay, and so we've sold in the month of April 1,575 muffins and breakfast bagels, 603 bagels. But maybe I want to filter or reduce my view to even less items, and I only want to look at the items that I've sold 200 or more of in the month of April. So what I'm going to do, since I'm looking at quantity, I'm going to pull quantity into filter shelf, and I want to look at sum. Hit next, and you see there is a range. Quantities from 3 to 1,575. 3 corresponds with the lowest one in our view, and the 1,575 corresponds with the highest one in our view. But I want to reduce that view to just 200. I can either hit OK and this disappears. I hit apply. I already see the change that happened, and I can hit OK. And now my view is reduced to just items that we sold 200 or more of in the month of April, and only breakfast items. So that could lead to some decisions as to what I need to keep in the stock the most, because those are the frequently selling items. And if I want to put this filter into the view and give the user some control, I can show filter and let the user alter the view. and you see the view changes dynamically as the filter is adjusted. So this is called a measure filter because we're pulling it from the measure section, and it remains green as we include it in the filters. Let's now say I want to give a title to this chart. I'm going to remove the quantity filter from the view. I'm currently looking at the month of April, breakfast items sorted by from the highest to the lowest sellers. And I want the title of the chart to express what the chart is showing. And so currently, my chart has a default name sheet 3 because it's the name of the sheet automatically feeds into the chart title. Like if I wanted to change it to bestsellers, if I change the name of the sheet to bestsellers, then that's what's going to appear in the chart title. But let's say I want to change it. I want to call this best selling items. Coffee shop best selling items. And I'm gonna put category, and I'm gonna insert a dynamic field. Under insert, we can find a lot of options for inserting something into our title, but I'm going to focus currently on the bottom section because the bottom section includes the pills or names of the fields that are currently present in our view. Category, item description, month of the date field, and sum of quantity. So it reflects anything that would be in columns and rows or in any of these shelves here. So I'm going to pick a pill category, and I'm going to insert it here. I'm going to make it bold so you can see. There's all kinds of formatting we can do here. We can change the font, size of the font, colors, etc. But I'm just going with the simple choices right now to demonstrate the practicalities of the dynamic title changes. I'm going to hit apply, and suddenly my title changed, and it reflects our selection of category. If I wanted to change to desserts, my chart is going to change, and then that's gonna that selection, it will be reflected in the chart title as well. These were the basic filtering functionalities in Tableau. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.